Hello. How are you all doing? I am Tiana Nichelle. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I have a mobile app, Empower Society, and a nonprofit organization. I help empower people to be mentally healthy, spiritually healthy, helping them in relationships and in life. So that is what I do. Um, I also do these live conversations. I've been doing them for over 2 years now. It's been a minute, y'all. But tonight is usually not the night that I go on. It's usually on Thursdays. But since last Thursday, I was under the weather, child. I was down for the count, y'all. But your girl is better. So we gonna have this conversation. The end goal. So I put up a clip with how does he say it? Ace Metaphor. And he was talking about looking at marriage as the end goal. But I thought that this was a really good topic because a lot of single people, and because I'm not married, I will say I'm single. Even though I'm in a relationship, but I am not married. So technically you are single. But here I do have these conversations. We have real life grown folk conversations. But for many people that have not been married, like everyone who is seeking to get married looks at it like it's the end goal. And it's something to strive for, especially because there's a lot of pressure put on women, which I really don't know why society does this. Like, if you're not married, something got to be wrong. If you decided that it wasn't for you, something got to be wrong. You just can't live life without not necessarily wanting to do it. And it's funny because I had that question posed to me by someone who was like, well, I saw that you was engaged a couple of times. Like, why you ain't do it? Or what was wrong with you? Like, and it was just like, nah, it wasn't for me at the time. Like, but why is it that it has to be a badge of honor? But here's the thing. People look at it like a badge of honor, but a lot of us are not prepared for the real. And so that was something that I have talked about, where it takes it's a real mature step in life, but you got to be prepared. But just like life, a lot of us are not even prepared for that. And life is grown up. Healthy living, mentally and spiritually, is a grown up action as well. But so going back to this video where Ace Metaphor was talking about marriage being the end goal, how everybody looks at it like that, and what he was saying was basically like, the reason why marriages are not working is because you look at it like it's the end goal instead of looking at it like an adventure and planning for it, right? And that was something that I even learned in my relationships. Like, I wasn't ready. I was like, it was scary. It was all types of scary for me. I looked at it like it was the end of my singleness, and I was like freaking out. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I freaked out every time I was engaged. I freaked out because I didn't really understand what came with it. But it just seemed like, okay, he's gonna control me. I'm not gonna be able to do X, Y, and Z. I can't, go out with my friends. Like, my last engagement, it was a little stifling, I'm not gonna lie, because it was more so about him trying to control who I was around rather than accepting that I came with a group of people, like family and friends and all of that kind of stuff. So he looked at it like, okay, this is what we doing, and now you belong to me. Whereas I was looking at it like, okay, it should be an addition. Like, you're coming into my world, I'm coming into your world. So, but I realized that our paths didn't really align, because what he saw it as was not how I was seeing it. And it's funny because my perspective changed from when I was engaged in my 20s. Like, in my 20s, I was straight, like, hyperventilating and everything because I thought life was over. But in this, in this, my engagement ended in 2019. And it was just like, okay, we not on the same path. Like, we not looking at things the same. And we started having the conversations, and it was just a lot of different issues. So I decided not to go through with it. But it taught me some lessons, even about myself, things that I needed to work on. So this is actually a real good conversation because it's not just a marriage conversation, but it's also a life conversation and how we look at life. Like, things are the end all be all. So I'm going to double back to that. So for many of us, looking at marriage like the end goal, like this badge of honor, but we don't necessarily look at what happens after the I do, the wedding. For some men, it's like, okay, reality hits. I'm just sleeping with this one woman for the rest of my life. For women, they finding out all of the things that probably annoy them. Because he's probably leaving his clothes on the floor or something like that, dishes in the sink. So you realize that it's a little bit more. You all start really looking at each other differently because you're learning more about the person because you're sharing a personal space and things like that. So it's like a new discovery. And it's like, okay, this is the person I fell in love with, like, and it's a reality check. And so now you're realizing that you all have your own separate issues. Then you wind up having issues with one another, and you looking like, okay, he got issues over here that I didn't even know about. She got issues over here I ain't know about. And all of that bliss because y'all got married, because y'all was in love, turns into, okay, what the heck did I get myself into? But instead of looking at marriage like the end goal, and something to look forward to, I think that it's more of an adventure that you have to prepare for. And the same is true in life. And how do you prepare for marriage? Like going to counseling, individually and together, figuring out what is going on with you first. And that's why I say this conversation applies to life as well. This is not just a marriage conversation. Talking about the real stuff, not just the I love yous, because the I love yous only get you so far. Like when you are doing life with a person, that person had their own life before they got with you. You had your own life before you got with them, and now you trying to blend both of your differences and all of that kind of stuff together. And a lot of times it becomes explosive. Like, this is why some people have a hard time when they first get married, because it's a lot of trying to figure out the rhythm that you will have together. So you just have to be prepared. It's about a prepared thing, especially for a lot of people, because they're single. There are more people that are single and they're older than before. Like, grandparents and great-grandparents got married younger, where we're like 30s, 40s, 50s getting married, 60s for some and 70s for others. So people are getting married later on in life. So it makes it a little bit of a challenge, because now you have all of these expectations from all of the life that you've done, all of the dating that you've done, and you kind of carry that into the relationship, or all of the things that you struggle with. And so I'm saying this even in looking back on my own relationships, and having conversations with married people as well as people who are divorced. So this conversation is not just from my perspective, but it encompasses different conversations that I've had with couples in their married season. Some of them are not married today because they just did not, they realized that they weren't seeing eye to eye. And there are some that are still married and they working through whatever they're working through, and they're going to counseling, they're doing all these different things. So the other thing is what I was talking about, preparing for the adventure. This is the same approach that you have to take in your single life, because a single life that you look at like an adventure, you'll do the same thing once you are connected with somebody in marriage, because you're not looking at things like this is the end all be all, or you're not looking at it like, oh well, this didn't happen for me, so I have to remain right here, or I can't move forward. If there's no growth with you, it's not going to be growth once you connect with another person in that marriage covenant. A lot of the times in our single season, especially being older, we're like, oh, well, we done did everything already. We made all these mistakes in the past. Oh, I had bad relationships, so I don't want to do relationships. And I'll take it slow. And then you wind up bed hopping, because a lot of grown folks be like, well, we just gonna do what grown folks do. That's not true. You do what grown folks do, and it leads to a lot of soul ties. You got a baby mama that you didn't expect to have, a baby daddy that you wasn't banking on having, and a lot of other issues that you just don't need. And your attitude included in that. So you done went from bed hopping because you done made all of these mistakes in relationships, right? And then you creating all of these soul ties. Now you are angry at the outcome of all of the different people that you have encountered in your single season. So now you got an attitude. You're not attracting, what you say you want. And something that I talk about previously is what you say out your mouth is usually what you wind up attracting. That negative thing when you're like, oh, that nigga ain't this, or that girl, she ain't this, or I ain't gonna use the B word, but you know what I'm saying. You can feel it in however you want to. But like, when you say those things, you actually speak against what it is that you are seeking. And a lot of people don't realize that. Like, you'll be like, oh, I want a good man, but then you turn around and talk about all of the negative experiences that you had. And so you're not making room for nothing good because you're steady talking about what is bad. And so the other part is, once you have done your dating and you're not actually processing everything because you're looking to rush through your own process, or not even dealing with some things that you have been through, then you're constantly like, oh, well, the problem must be everybody else. It's not me. Like, I'm good. Which is a defense mechanism, because a lot of times we do not be good. We be saying we good and we not. It's a whole lot of other stuff going on. And that's a coping mechanism. But if you act like that when you're single, you definitely gonna be like that when you're married. Or you feel like you're too grown to receive correction and guidance, but the truth is that you're not, because a part of in your lifetime. Hello. I didn't even address y'all. I'm sorry, y'all. Hey, y'all. I'm just talking, y'all. But in the comments, go ahead, drop what you think. If you want to comment on what I'm saying, go ahead and drop it in the comments. We're never too grown for correction. We're never too grown for guidance. And a lot of times in our life, being 30, 40, 50, and older, we're like, oh, well, we done experienced enough life. But if that was the case, then we would be happier in life. We would have made changes. We wouldn't be repeating the same cycles. So it's something that maybe you're not doing right. a lot of us make mistakes. We make mistakes as grown-ups. Like, we don't have all of the answers when we really want to look like we do. We really don't. And sometimes we need to have a listening ear or some guidance or some counseling or some type of mentor in order to help us to be better. But if you don't realize that you have issues in the first place, if you can't admit that to yourself, then you're not going to be able to have a healthy life. You're not going to be able to grow and have eventually a healthy relationship with somebody else. Ooh, child. Ooh, child. So, my belief is we should start looking at life like an adventure. And when things don't work out, it's a lesson. And the pain is an opportunity for healing. And once we decide to visit the idea of marriage, then you would look at it like an adventure and start preparing for it. Understanding, okay, well, what is the goal of this? So, a lot of people are like, well, I just love that person, so we should just go ahead and do it. But you're not having the conversations. And I've had this conversation with married folk, okay? Some who've been married newlyweds and others who are older. And it was a lot of stuff that was missing from the conversations that they should have been having, that they waited till they got married to have, and now they like, okay, like, this is a lot. And then on top of that, life be lifing. So it that I love you is not enough, and it goes out the window once life is lifing. But looking at the goal of marriage, it was created by God, not by man. Therefore, it has a purpose. Not just to have a spend a night session, but a union that creates, that grows, that multiplies. Two is better than one. So you can accomplish more with the other person, but you have to be healthy in order to maintain it. So it's still going beyond the end goal of, okay, I want to be married. What happens after that? What happens after that? And if you're not having the hard conversations in the beginning to even find out what your goals are and if they even align, then there are challenges. So learning if you all are compatible, if you're both in a healed space, if you have an open communication without walls or blocks, who is leading us? What I said before, if God is the creator of marriage, then God should be leading both of y'all, which is going to help you through a lot of stuff. A lot. How do you deal with triggers and drama? And then do you have a plan of action for when the triggers come up, or the drama, the trauma, whatever it is, when it comes up, what is your plan of action? Are you able to admit fault? That is the one thing that we as people, even single people, don't do. We don't readily admit fault, and we don't readily forgive and move on from it. We hold people's feet to the fire, but yet we don't want them to hold our feet to the fire. But when you are doing life with another person, you have to be like, okay, maybe I was wrong. And that's something that I have learned in being in relationships. Like, you have to sometimes take a step back and examine, okay, maybe I said this the wrong way that triggered you to feel this way. So, okay, like, I analyze my conversations, and it be after the fact. I'm not gonna say I'm sitting there analyzing why I'm upset. That is not the truth. But after the fact, I'm like, okay, maybe I could have said this differently, because maybe he didn't receive this well, and I'll double back, like, let me apologize for what I said, because maybe I did say it in a not so nice way. Maybe, whatever. And then moving forward, okay, this is how we need to approach X, Y, and Z, or maybe something he said triggered me, and now I'm like upset. So having a plan of action for stuff like that. And it's funny because I have this conversation with the person I'm with. Like, we actually talk about our real situations, like real stuff that we have been through. And it be like open, honest, candid stuff that most people don't reveal until they probably are married. And we like, nah, we might as well have a conversation now, because we need to know what it really is before we actually decide whether we really gonna go in that direction. But I've had the conversations with married people who are like this. We didn't talk about this, and then when we got into an argument, it was like leave the house. And I was like, nah, I don't believe in that. I don't believe in the leaving the house business. We not doing that. And he and I had that conversation like, you ain't leaving no house. If we mad, it's another room. Ain't nobody leaving to go nowhere. Because that's how you open the door for extra stuff. That part. We not doing that. But having a plan of action when things get ugly. And just in marriage, like just as in marriage, you need that same plan of action in life. And life is hard. If you don't address what you're dealing with, and you're constantly masking, you won't grow. You'll continue to make the same mistakes. And although mistakes are a part of life, and it's a part of success, and it's a part of your story, you have to be honest. Some of the mistakes that you repeat don't make sense. Some of that stuff be redundant. Like, I've made mistakes where I'm like, okay, this was silly because I should have learned this lesson already, and realizing, okay, maybe I need to talk to somebody because maybe I didn't go about this the right way, or whatever the case may be. But being realistic with who you are, where you are, where you're going, and what you want. So once you realize those things and you have a plan of action for your own life, you will make a plan of action for your relationships. You'll make a plan of action in business. You'll make a plan of action for a lot of different things once you master your own plan of action. Initially, I started off with the marriage thing because of the video, but this really is a life conversation. Like, you need not to look at where you are as you've arrived to something, or you can't learn from anything because of your age, or you can't start anything new. You can. You just have to get yourself unstuck, and realize that you're not too old for a fresh start. You're not too old to change things. You're not too old to receive help. You're not too old to change your perspective. And you're not too old to get anything right. Whatever you experienced previously, I always say that failure is not really failure. It's a learning experience. Yes, something didn't happen the way that you planned it, but the great part about it is you can learn from those experiences and take it and do something completely different in your future. You are not bound to things that didn't work out in your past. And I think that a lot of us need to stop focusing on our past, because your future is not in your past. Like, you got to look forward in order to go where you're going. You really do. Like, when you're driving, you're not looking in your rearview mirror while you're driving. You'll have an accident. So everything is in front of you. And it's like you have to say, okay, I want this out of life. I want more out of life. Looking at your life like an adventure is an amazing thing, and it actually leads to happiness and more fulfillment, instead of looking at it as you know, heavy and dark, and a lot of people deal with that. There are a lot of people who are dealing with like mental health issues because they're so caught up in the what didn't work. They're so caught up in their thoughts of rejection or life not going the way that they planned it, not getting the things that they actually wanted, instead of, and, and I'm not going to say instead of, but for me, looking at some people who deal with that, I'm like, okay, you have to, and I've actually talked to a few people and talked them out of their depressive state. You have to look at, okay, yes, this didn't work out. It didn't go the way that you wanted it to go, but you're still here. You're still here. You're still living. So there's a chance for things to turn around. But are you willing to take that chance to allow yourself to change the trajectory of your whole entire life? It all starts with your mind. It all starts with what you're focused on. If you're so focused on the past, then you're never going to live or get a different outcome because you're so focused on what's behind you that did not work. You can't change what did not work, but you can change your future. And it starts with you putting some things in action in your own life. Maybe you need a counselor. Maybe you need a life coach. Maybe you need, some type of mentor. Or maybe you need to be surrounded by people that really genuinely love you and care for you. Maybe you need to change your scenery. Sometimes we have to move from the place that we've been in order to see something new for ourselves. A lot of times we get stuck in, where we grew up at and the people that we were around. But sometimes we need a whole new change of scenery to change our thought process. Maybe there's other things that you might need. Maybe you need to sit down and draft a plan for your business. Maybe you need to create a vision board. And I'm going to show y'all one day my vision board because I actually have it sitting up here. It's pretty big. But, maybe you need to sit down and dream again. And I've had this conversation before where sometimes you have to dig deep within, go back to that inner child that never experienced any hurt, pain, or trauma. Go back to the kid that was, happy-go-lucky before life, hit. And think about the things that you wanted to do. Maybe you wanted to be, an artist. Maybe you wanted to be a singer. Maybe you wanted to be a chef because you saw whatever the cooking show was. Something like that. Go back into that inner child that wanted to grow and discover and allow yourself the opportunity to do that. Sometimes you need that. Maybe you need to read books. Educate yourself. I always say that education is not necessarily on paper and you talking to somebody that's got a few degrees, but to me it's not important when you are in life. It's a sheet of paper. When you are going through things, that degree is not going to give you the knowledge and all that. Sometimes you got to read books that have things about your purpose or taking control of your life or whatever the self-help books are. I think you can see the book behind me, Relationship Goals. That's Michael Todd that actually helped me to have a different perspective on relationships, even though my perspective was already changing, but that actually assisted too. I have the other book, I don't think you can see it, Crazy Faith. He wrote that book too, and it helped me to restore my faith in God for the things that I have been asking for. And so I was able to accomplish some things. Like, I have a mobile app. I'm the first in my family to ever, and in my circle, to ever create a mobile app, which is a directory of services and resources for individuals with disabilities, and their families. And so it is in Google Play, and it's in the Apple App Store, and it's been there since 2019, okay? And it has grown, and I have been able to make connections even in having an organization. I was able to give out school supplies, like reading these books like Crazy Faith, and I don't know if you can see it, but it's sitting back there. Reading a book like that, or even Miles Monroe, has helped me to change my perspective on how I view my purpose and my relationship with God. Even I do my daily readings, where I am I turn on my Bible app and I let it read to me, and it be like chapters on chapters, and I'll just be like engrossed in it for an hour and a half. Today it was 2 hours, but I'm not saying you got to do all of that. I pray. I definitely do that. I talk to God all the time. But it has changed a lot in my life. It has changed my relationships with people. I view relationships totally different. Where I used to think that people were disposable. Like, I did not value relationships, and I talked about this before. But since I have been reading different books, and I was like, you know what, I wanted something different. Okay, this didn't work in the past, but I want something different. I want friendships that last, a lifetime. I want a relationship where, that's my best friend, and we can have open, honest conversation, dialogue about whatever. That's my dog, 1 minute, and the next minute we, can't stop kissing on each other. You know what I mean? Like, I want that relationship, that adventure where we are going and exploring things, and we're building and creating things, and we're growing together, and being grounded in God is very, very key. Like, because you're going to face some things in your life and in your relationship that's going to make you question a lot of different things. Like, make you sometimes question the other person, if you made the right decision. Or it could be where you lost somebody while you're in the relationship with that person, and you really need that person to lean on. So you have to know who you're dealing with. And I think that when you're looking at marriage as the end goal, you're not looking at all that comes with it. When you're looking at, okay, well, I didn't explore all of the life that up until this point, ain't nothing else for me to do. Because I've had conversations with people where I'm like, no, it's still my life to live. Because when you start developing that mindset, then you get stuck in everyday living where you're not even moving, you're not doing anything, you're just sitting there. And now you falling into depression when you have that mindset. So if you start looking at your life in different lenses, then you will begin to look at the way you do relationships with people even differently, and it will be healthier because you're healthier. You will start to find enjoyment in the little things, and even be more adventurous. Like, okay, let me go visit this. I even talked about that, like, when I wasn't in a relationship, but even still being in one, I, on a one-off, like, let me go for a drive. Let me go look at some new places. Let me go, I would have dinner by myself, and people be looking like, okay, that's what I want to do. That's me time, and it's me and God time, okay? And so, but it actually helps me be a better person. It helps a lot. And even in having my mentoring sessions, because The mentor has to have a mentor, okay? The coach got to have a coach. She's just not out here coaching without being coached, because there are things that you as a coach, but also as a person, have to constantly work on. Just because I'm out here helping other people does not mean that I'm not helping myself too. I am. I am. And I'm feeding my spirit constantly. I am getting that even in my mentor, with my mentors, because I actually have two mentors. So it's very, very key to do your own work and to change your outlook on life so that you can have a more healthier, fulfilling life. I don't even know, many of you all don't know how I used to be. Like, the person you see today is not the person that was like this 10 years ago, okay? She was not like this 7 years ago. It took a lot of work. And I'm happy. Like, this is probably the happiest that I have been in my life, because I've learned how to, and I talk about my previous experiences. So you can go on my YouTube channel, Tiana Nichelle the Visionary, and you can see previous conversations. You can also go to my Instagram. It is the same, Tiana Nichelle the Visionary, and look at some of the conversations from January, February are still up on my YouTube. I'm not sorry, on my Instagram. Actually, I'm live on Facebook and Instagram. But like, you can see some of the topics that I've talked about, but you can also see the transformation, and even how I discuss the things that I previously went through and how I am now, how I handle things. Like, you'll be able to see it. So child, go check it out. Cause I wasn't like this. I wasn't doing these conversations. I wasn't looking to coach nobody, and I have helped coach quite a few people, mentor quite a few people, helping them with their own relationships, their own marriages, and some have been married 14 years. Some have been married quite some time now, and these are people that I have coached. Okay, so if you're looking for coaching, you can hit the link in my bio. But again, don't look at your life like, because of of your age, that you have experienced everything. Look at it like an adventure, that a new day awaits you. And as long as you have breath, you can do something new. You can become better than before. You don't have to wait until you have money, the relationship, the marriage, before you decide to do something different. Because then you wind up putting too much stock into that relational connection. You can do something different all on your own. And enjoy the process. I think that we live in a microwave society where we think everything is supposed to come to us instantaneously. Or for some people, they think the blessings is going to fall out the sky and they don't have to do anything. Well, that's not true. You still have to put in the work to become a better you, to become the person that you envision. And this is the other part. You have to envision yourself healthy in such a way where you're like, okay, I want to be here, in the next year. A lot of times we don't necessarily do that. We're looking like, oh, I want to have this kind of money in the next year, or I want to be with this person in the next year, or whatever. We're not looking at our internal being to make sure that we are better. So in the next year, I want to be healthier mentally, spiritually, physically. I want to be able to handle things, with my emotions better, how I approach things better. These were things that I had to say to myself. I wanted to be healthier. I will put up pictures like I'm 100 pounds down from where I was. So I have put up some pictures so you all can see that. That was one of my goals. Like, let me get myself together physically. Let me get myself together spiritually. I tapped into God. I tapped so far into God. Child, I just be praying. I be talking to God all day long, reading the scriptures, buying books that enhance my spiritual connection. I am about my mental health. So I have mentors and people that I coach, like they coach me, but I'm also a coach for others. So I have to be mentally tapped in to myself, be healthier in order to give other people better advice. And it has been amazing. It has been an amazing journey. Even you have to be emotionally balanced in order to have better relationships, friendships, familiar relationships, relationships, boyfriend, girlfriend, marriage. You have to be healthy in such a way where you are able to emotionally connect and, have conversations and be present, because a lot of us are not present. We're using things to mask our pain of whatever the trauma was, whatever the issues were in the past. A lot of us use things to mask it, and we have to stop doing that. We really have to, because if you're steady masking it, you're not going to be able to have the relationship that you want or the things that you want out of life, because you're too busy trying to cover up how you really feel, or cover up the pain that you're going through instead of working through that. And that's the part for me. I had to work through my pain. I had to do a lot of heavy lifting in that area because I had gone through a lot of stuff. And this is why I do have these conversations too, because these conversations help other people. This is not necessarily me getting on here and just talking about my experience or whatever, but a lot of people have said, hey, you helped me through this. Even if they're not an actual coaching client of mine, they're on here like, you have really helped me through some, dark times. Like, you getting on here and motivating other people through your lives, like, it really touched me. I've had people in my DMs saying this. So I keep doing it because even if it's one person or if it's two people, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, because this is my purpose. My purpose is to empower other people, to transform your mind, your relationships, and your life. And that's what I'm doing. So I want you to think about your plan of action to be a healthier version of yourself, so that you can have that adventure in your life and eventually have that adventure in your marriage, because it's not the end goal. It is a new adventure with an addition. So we have to revamp how we look at things. And you will enjoy life much better once you realize that you are on an adventure. We're not necessarily in control of every single thing that happens, but we do have the ability to control and stabilize our emotions, and we are responsible for our healing process. So that is something that will help you to be happier, to be healthier, and to look at things differently. So with that, guys, I will see you on Thursday. On a date that I actually do these lives. But I wanted to deliver as promised, because I did say I was going to go live on Monday. If you are looking for daily inspiration, motivation, download my Empowered Society app. If you have a child or know somebody with a child, with a disability, or they're looking for resources and services, download my mobile app, Empower Society, in your Google Play and Apple App Store. I also have an organization, Empower Society. You can go to our website. The link is in my bio. We do sibling workshops. We do supply drives. We started doing the hygiene donations this year. We actually have a gala coming up. I'll keep you all posted on that. If you all are looking for updates on what we're doing, then you can go to the website. The link is in my bio. Sign up for the newsletter so that you can find out what's going on. Even in the app, I post updates so that you can be informed. And this month is also World Down Syndrome Day on the 21st of March. And we will have that conversation. We'll talk about what that is and all of that. But we have empowerment affirmation cards for kids, for World Down Syndrome Day. We have t-shirts and things like that. So if you are interested in getting any of that, go visit the website. You'll see the t-shirts, the empowerment affirmation cards for kids. That's actually a digital download. So once you pay for it, you'll get the download. You can download it as many times. There's not a limit on there, and you can post those bad boys in your kids' room. And do I have a card in front of me? Let me see. I might have a card, right? I just had one too. I moved it. Nope, it's not here. But affirmation cards. Yes. I'll show you all on Thursday what they actually look like. Because I actually moved them. I thought I had a stack sitting here, but I don't. So you can see what they look like. The actual cards that say I am powerful, and things like that. So affirm your kids, because they need it. They need it in order to do amazing things in life. They need that encouragement. So yes, if you want to know more about me, click the link in the bio. So I will see you all on Thursday. You all have an amazing night. Bye.